Let's take a look here at the 2.2.3 variable section. This is a really exciting section because it's going to give us a naming possibility for information that we're dealing with. And when we can store stuff and name them things that we want to, as you can see over here, creating a variable, variables store or name shapes so we can use them. Very, very powerful. Right here, they're saying variable name equals draw a shape. Let's go see that down here in action. So this line of code, red dot equals circle, with the particulars for this circle, basically creates a circle and stores it into this name, this variable. So red dot then becomes an easy way that we can refer to this particular circle in the future. And let's go ahead and just run this and see what we get. And upon running this, what we end up getting here is actually just what we'd expect, just the same old circle that is, that we would get even without doing, like if we took away red dot and ran this, we'd still get the exact same thing. So what's the benefit then? It's nice to maybe name something, but what does nice mean if you don't get benefit out of it? So what we're going to do here is, let me just illustrate here that we can add, for example, a definition for what to do whenever we press the mouse. And then we can use that information from that mouse press to maybe, let's just say, set the radius. So if we look at our docs basically give us all the information we need to know about the different properties that we might want to change. So if we go over to circle, in this case that's the thing that we're focusing on, a circle, okay, we see that we get these properties, center X, center Y, radius, and we can access these variables called red dot. So if we want to take advantage of this, now start to get the benefits, we can say red dot dot radius equals, and let's maybe say the radius, I don't know, equals x divided by 4. So wherever the user clicks in the x, and then divide that by 4 and set that to the radius. So let's go ahead and see that in action. Run that. Still doesn't do this anything until we click, but now watch, once we click, now if we click farther to the right, it's going to make the radius bigger. If we click farther to the left, it's going to make the radius smaller. But we get an error, we get an error if we allow the value to be 0. So the way to guard against this is to go ahead and just add 1 to it. That way, whatever this ends up being, even if x is 0, we'll still have a valid radius, because the radius has to be at least 1. It has to be greater than 0. Okay? So there we go. We got our variables, and that's what 2.2.3 is about. And we got the benefit of the variables because we get to change properties referring to those variables and then going dot and then the property name. And that's really important. So down here they're giving you some specific examples like I was doing. Pretty much I was condensing some of this lesson for you. And I tell you what, there's nothing that brings me more joy than kind of taking you through this stuff. So keep it coming. Great job in requesting information on this. This is fantastic. So over here, pretty much are doing the same type of thing. Now if we press the mouse, we're changing the circle. This time not the radius. Here we're changing the position. But it's the same type of thing. We took the variable and we used that variable later to access a property that we would want to change. In this case, it's changing the center X position. And down here, it's asking you questions about that. I'm not going to walk through each of these particular checkpoints here, but let me maybe jump down to the, let me actually do checkpoint 2. Checkpoint 2 is a nice one. So right here with the checkpoint 2, it says, okay, now we click and have shapes follow the mouse around, and that's what we were looking at in that last example. Now click the bottom half of the canvas to move the orange square around in the top half of the canvas. So what do they mean there? So if we click the bottom, it moves it around in the top half. So now we're dealing with, an offset. So basically if I click up higher, it's going to also be up higher. If I go lower, it's going to be lower, but it's going to be offset by a certain amount. So wherever I click, there's that distance between wherever I click and wherever the actual, in this case, the square is. Let's go ahead and look at the code. So in the code, they're asking us to go ahead and move tabby 200 pixels above. So this is what we call an expression. In algebra, you might call it an algebraic expression. We're just calling it an expression here. It's a relative offset expression. It's saying 200 pixels above. So over here, it says move tabby to be this, see, because this right here moves it to the position of the mouse X. That's for the mouse X, but now we're talking about the Y down here. So to go above, we're going to be obviously dealing with the Y direction, so the center Y. And what we want to do is set it to, now what does above mean in here? Because Y is 0 at the top, Y is getting bigger when we go down. So to go above, we need to subtract. So if we go center Y, mouse Y, we go mouse Y, and we need to subtract now to go above. So this idea of an offset is really big. It's a common type of expression. So this expression is 200 pixels above, and above, in terms of our Y values, above means we have to subtract to get above. So mouse Y minus 200, if we run that. Now if we click, tabby is not defined over there. So, and there we go on line 10, tabby is not defined. Well, over here, it was giving us another task that we have to store the rectangle in the variable. So until we do that, we don't have the tabby variable set up. But now that we set up the tabby variable and we honor the expression that was expressed here, and we write it out over here in terms of the mouse Y, until we do that, we are, kind of going forward. And then once we arrive at that, we have achieved the goal. And there we have it. Another wonderful kind of interaction, and this is what's so great about Unit 2, is you get all of this wonderful interaction just via mouse press and mouse release. So if we check this now, we can see that we got our expected behavior, and that's what we're looking for. And I'm really glad that you reached out, and I look forward to more and more and more. Take care.